Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Hope everyone's having a blessed morning. I'm having a blessed morning. So let's sorry about that. Let's jump right into this. As you see the topic, and it's talking about Rikers Island. I'm gonna give you a little bit of history, some of the history that you have not heard, and some of the history you have heard. Okay. We're talking about Rikers Island and the treatment of citizens there. I'm not going to say inmates. I'm not going to say any of those words. The treatment of citizens there. There's been a large portion of misbehaved individuals there that's controlling Rikers Island, that's beating citizens. There has been, far as law enforcement has been declining. And there's a reason why Rikers Island is declining, and why the island in certain places is collapsing and sinkholes are opening up on Rikers Island. Okay, there's a reason why before they put the concrete there, it was an island. Grass and um, certain things grew there, right? Um, you see all the legal issues that's going on there, the abuse of our citizens there. You are innocent until proven guilty. There's people that have been there for 4, 5 years, 6 years, has been there waiting for a very, very long time dealing with the justice system, right? So let's give a little history on Rikers Island. First, I would like to say by August of 2027, they supposed to close Rikers Island. They supposed to be closing Rikers Island by 2027. And I don't know their plans. I don't know what's going on. I'm sorry about that. I don't know what's going on with that. But they're trying to close it as soon as possible before the deadline open up. Before the deadline comes, right? They trying to find ways of just closing this place of holding our citizens. Years ago, many years ago, before Rikers Island was called Rikers Island, and before it was put as a holding pen, right, for citizens, Rikers Island used to be a place where anyone that fought against the oppressors, anyone that was plotting, anyone that was planning against oppressors, against this way of life that was adapted back in the days, back in the 1800s, the 1700s, actually the 1800s and 1900s. Back then, right? People fought, and they didn't like individuals taking over and putting a certain mind frame upon them. They feel that they was oppressed. Some of our ancestors there. So they fought and was hiding in New York City and just all around the world. That was the go-to place to put individuals that oppose this rules and regulation that was set upon man, that was barbaric. And a lot of people, they wasn't with none of that. They was put on that island to be tortured and to be buried and to be hung in front of many of people and buried and murdered. That was what Rikers Island was about. Before they put the buildings on top of everyone, that was That was what that island was about. People talking about it was slavery. No, it was no slavery. Anyone that fought against individuals back then, right, that was starting revolutionary mindset, individuals that dealing with oppression and had a revolutionary idea that went against the oppressors, that was fighting and killing people. I have did research back on citizens and on the natives of the land that was fighting against the oppressors, and how it was a rebel. It was a rebel. It was always a rebel in New York City. They would go there and get tortured. They would go there and get tortured. They would go there and get buried. They would go there and get murdered. You ever seen the movie called Braveheart? That's how exactly back then it was. Back in the 17s and the 18s and the 1900s, where you had individuals that was opposing the monarchy, that was opposing this new way of thinking and having people to do and say what you want them to do. So people disagree with that. Women, all right, and men came together and they brought about some type of revolution. They're not going to tell you that in history. They're not going to tell you that in history. Okay? But if you do your research and you look and see that this was revolutionary war, all right, back then in New York City and just all around certain states, people was fighting. People were fighting. Don't believe that we was just slave and we sit about and we was doing this and we was doing that. This is all lies. It's a deception. Okay? There was always an uproar. There was always somebody that was plotting and planning a revolutionary and taking over and getting everything back on track. There was always somebody there. There was always a leader, and we had the women's right along with us. But you also had individuals that was talking and telling and selling individuals' ideas and themselves for a measly price. Okay? For money and for homes or for land or whatever the case may be. And these same individuals came back after capturing these revolutionary brothers and sisters, right? After capturing them and torturing them and hanging them and murdering them, they would backstab these individuals and kill them and take over the land that they just gave these individuals. This is why a lot of sinkholes is popping up. This is why a lot of sinkholes is popping up, because it is the sins of other individuals that came before you or I. The land is bathed with blood, innocent blood, people that fought for freedom, for not to be oppressed, fought for generations that come behind them. We have always fought, right? So Rikers Island, right? The powers that be are in dialogue, are in conversation and talks and meetings to figure out how to close Rikers Island. And the reason why Rikers Island is the way it is because the souls that are there that was murdered and tortured years ago unjustly. And anybody that's a part of that, okay, is going to seek the wrath of these souls. This is why if you go to Rikers Island, they are constantly covering up potholes, and because the earth is opening up. Because injustice was done there for years and years and years and years and years, man. And just all around the world, period. This is why they make it very important. If you see a sinkhole, if you see anything, call these numbers right away so we can cover it up. You're covering up injustice, murder, torture. Whole families were snuffed out. Rikers Island is a burial ground of freedom fighters, of those who fought against oppression. And you build on top of these individuals that had a freedom way of thinking, a freedom idea to lead those that was oppression to glory. Nobody wants to be nobody wants to be adapting this way of working for somebody. Oppression. Talking about beat somebody. You had people that was fought. There was always revolution. Many of these books that I had, I don't have them anymore. I don't know what these books is at. I used to work in storage. I found a lot of these books, and you would never find these books. There was a book called, there was a Black Civilization and Black Revelations from the beginning. And revolutionary. Black revolution from the beginning. And there was naming people there. I had to put the book down. I mean, it was in Boston. It was in New York. It was in all these major cities. There was uproars of individuals that was fighting against oppression. That's why I don't want to say slavery. I don't want to say slavery. I say oppression. There always been a fight against oppression, beloved. Always, always. So back to Rikers Island, right? I guess the contract is up. It's 2027 of August. But they are trying to close it. Not just only because of violence, right? Not because only violence plays a part. It's because Rikers Island is opening up sinkholes and revealing evidence of abuse and murder and torture from back in the 1700s, the 1800s, the 1900s, beloved. There was a great much of punishment there and murder there for people that oppose oppression at the time. We've been here. I told you, we've been here. People talking about with the Indians. We was here. We was here. We was trading with the Indians. We used to travel the whole entire earth, contrary to what people's talking about. Nobody was no slave. People have fought for centuries, man, against oppression. So this is why Rikers Island is on the verge of closing. They trying to close it, not because the 2027 is because evidence of murder is being revealed through the sinkholes. The people and souls are so strong, they're cracking through the concrete. This is why the violence is there. And it's becoming more evident, more evident, more evident. Anybody that break this rules and regulation, and this been passed on from generation. Anyone that breaks the rules and regulation are sent there for punishment and torture to Rikers Island. I want you to think about this. It's very, very important that you think about this. I am a native of this country. I am a native of this country. My ancestors was here. We was here before all of this nonsense was going on. We traded. We spoke the language. We spoke the dialect. We settled here. This is facts. They had to make this rules and regulations to set up on way things supposed to go. Because back then they was fighting. They was fighting back then. A lot of murders was going on. And I'm gonna keep it real with you. Even in the book, some Caucasians was hung too and murdered, right along with anybody that opposes this way of life. Yes, it wasn't a lot of them, but it was a few of them. I remember reading the book. It was the brown book, the black revolution from the beginning. And I don't know how many chapters it was. It was a lot of chapters, and it showed. And I seen it. They had Boston. They definitely had New York, and it showed how the revolution started in New York. The killings and the murders, and then the hanging, and people being burnt right here in this soil. Rikers Island was a place where they put anyone that opposed the oppressors and fought against this ideology that this came out of nowhere. This is why these townships was procreated and built up to talk about what laws that we can procreate to keep these people in line. It took years and years for us to get there. It didn't happen overnight. After the information was destroyed and burnt and the lessons was burnt, there was no more fighting. They had to come up with some type of solution, okay? And crack set us back another 1,000 years. Once it got in the systems of pregnant mothers. It was a strategic move. I want your guys to do your research on this. I want your guys to do your research on this. Some of this research you're not going to find. I found it in the books, and I never read nothing about this. But to get new information and talks about Rikers Island specifically and how it was back then is very disturbing to me. It's not wow, it's very disturbing to me. And it's not far-fetched what was going on back then. Because there was a lot of uproars back then, fighting back then against oppression. So you had to bring them somewhere. Some places they would do it in front of public, and some of the places majority of the places they would bring them to Rikers Island to be tortured and buried. Mother, children, and all. And this is why Rikers Island is falling apart. Because the souls are crying out for justice. because injustice happened to them. And it's been going on ever since that it's been going on, but ever since that they build on top of these individuals, it's been an uproar. It's been crying out to the universe to seek justice for them being murdered unjustly because they didn't want to be oppressed. They'd rather fight. The same thing with Central Park. The same thing with Central Park. So these cover-ups of sin, of murder, is being revealed. Because if media don't do it, the souls will. And just blood upon blood is filled in our streets all around this world, or just all around this country, this world period. But we are focused on New York City. This is something to think about, beloved. This is not no game. This is something to think about. If you didn't know, now you know. While all the talks and while all the meetings is going on before August 2027, the closure of Rikers Island, they trying to do away with this. They're going to say that it's because of the violence. It's not because of the violence. It's because of souls that is buried and was tortured and murdered on Rikers Island for opposing oppression. Freedom fighters, the revolutionary thinkers, the leaders there, women, children, and men. Because it's going to get worse after year after year. It's going to get worse and worse and worse. So I like to end this video with I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in to watching this video. And this is for educational purpose only. I would like for your guys to do your research. Stay humble, stay out the way, and stay blessed up. And don't never forget, the fight don't stop. It's more of a spiritual fight now than a physical fight. It's more of a spiritual, inner self fight. Okay? May the Lord protect us. May the Lord bless us and guide us to a place of safety for you and our loved ones. But what's done on Rikers Island was terrible, 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 terrible. And the bloodline of those ancestors, people that walk around every day, are still right here. They blood, they soul, their body is soaking in that soil. It doesn't matter how much you build on top of guilt, sin, and murder. The earth will be real. The earth will be real because the people cried out, and the earth is opening up sinkholes all over to reveal the sins and the dirty work of the oppressors. Peace, y'all. Later. Peace. That's right. That's right.